The Bryan Sam's podcast is sponsored by Church Media HQ. Failing to plan is planning to fail, and many churches have proven this statement to be all too real when it comes to their media and marketing. That's why Luke Clayton and the team at Church Media HQ want to create a 90-day plan to help your church connect with more people. After you share a few details about your church, Luke and his team put together a custom-tailored plan for effectively promoting upcoming events, sermons, and more at your church for free. Whether you choose to hire his team to execute that plan or take that plan and do it yourself, Church Media HQ just wants to see your church connect with more people. And listeners of the Bryan Sam's podcast can get started with a paid membership for as little as $99 and enjoy exclusive discounts on other Church Media HQ services. See the link in the show notes or visit churchmediahq.com/Bryan to sign up for your church's free 90-day media plan today and see all that Church Media HQ can do for your church. That's churchmediahq.com/Bryan. You're listening to an ongoing discussion on life, leadership, and ministry. This is the Bryan Sam's Podcast.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Bryan Sam's Podcast. I am Bryan Sam's, your host, and today I'm actually going to interview my co-host, Pastor Aaron Chan. Aaron, welcome back to the podcast.
Hey, thank you. And I noticed you used a little bit of a different address there.
Exactly.
Was there a reason for that?
Sometimes I just say Mr. Chan or affectionately Chan, but today I called you Pastor Chan. So that's actually what we're going to talk about today. And you may have seen on social media, you may have seen a video, or you may not. Maybe this is news to you, but we're coming today to talk specifically about what God has done in Aaron's life, directing him to a church plant here in the Jacksonville area. And so, first of all, Aaron, I just want you to talk about what happened kind of in your heart and life over the last year that kind of even open up and direct you toward lead pastoring and church planting.
Yeah. So 6 years ago, you asked me to come here to help with the revitalizing of Harvest Baptist Church. And at the time, I was a graduate of Bible college, and my degree was definitely not in preaching or anything like that or pastoral ministry. And so if you had asked me a few years ago if, hey, would you ever think about becoming a pastor, I probably would have said, no, absolutely not. I don't think that's me. But over the past, I guess year and a half, after being mentored by yourself and just watching you lead the church, there's just been this kind of feeling that's kind of popped up. Like it was almost as if God was saying, you could do this. And at first I was like, no, there's no way. I'm not. I don't think gifted that way. I don't think I do certain things well. But that feeling just kind of never went away. It was every time I saw you preach or teach or lead something, I just kept thinking, I think I could do that. I think I kind of want to do that, actually. So it's not like I was talking to somebody yesterday about this, and we were talking about calling. Some guys have this definite. There's a specific time in their life, like I definitely know this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. I'm going to pastor. And the more I find out and I talk to some guys on social media and things like that a lot of guys, it doesn't happen that way. A lot of them are like, I was kind of like the same as you, I didn't think that when I stepped into an assistant pastor position or a youth pastor position or a worship director position that I would ever be a senior pastor, but here we are.
Yeah. Well, you're describing, I think, what 1 Timothy 3 describes, if a man desires the office of a bishop. I do think, in my case, there was, I would say, a definitive surrender. Like it was happening. The same stirring that you're talking about was stirring in me. I think that's God working in you both to will and do His good pleasure. I think the call to ministry, specifically preaching or pastoring, does begin that way. And I think for some people, there's more of a boom moment where probably that's already happened. The stirring is already there, but then there's like this, sometimes a climactic moment, either personally or publicly, where they basically say yes. So some people say, like, I used to say I was called to preach at this particular moment at a Christian camp back in 1997. I'm a little older than that. But really, that's not really the fact. The fact is God calls from the womb. Then I think He burdens the heart, and then there's a surrender to God's will. And so I would actually say I committed my life to or surrendered to at that moment. For you, the stirring, has been there, and we've talked about it a lot over the last year. And I even remember at one point, probably about a year ago, that I just said something like, "Hey, I don't know, but maybe this is going to happen." Maybe I was even sensing a little bit of certainly your teaching and preaching was on point, and then I think just working at the church for 6 years, the people side of things, knowing how to talk to people, pray with people, work with people. So I started sensing that that this would probably be your ultimate thing. I mean, when you start being somewhere more than 5 years, 6 years, going toward 10 years, you start thinking about things like where am I going? What's the end game here? So I'm thankful. And so then God just opened up a unique door for our church. Tell us a little bit about the campus and the church over in the Mayport area of Jacksonville.
Yeah, sure. So this is kind of like the nail in the coffin for as far as the calling goes, right? It was at this point I'm like, okay, I'm starting to think maybe one day I'll be a pastor, and then all of a sudden this comes up, Mayport, the Mayport campus. And it was almost as if God says, "Here's the door. Would you walk right through it?"
Right.
And so yeah, the the Oak Harbor Baptist Church has been, I think, in existence since 1972, and they're down to 12 members as of like this week, I think. They reached out to us here at River City, and they were wanting help, and they said, "Look, we've got a guy that's an interim pastor, but we really need a senior pastor. Can you help us?" And so then I think they made contact with you first, and so basically we told them, "Look, the only way this is going to work is if you merge with us, deed your property and everything over to River City, and come under us as an adoption. Basically, you're adopting a child, and when the child grows and is able to sustain itself, then we release them again, right? And so that's how that came about. Only a month ago, right? 2 months ago.
Well, so the beginning conversation happened in late April. Yeah. Then it kind of escalated quickly. Like the interim pastor reached out to me. I called him. We met. Within the same day, he's like, "I think you should come talk to everybody." So then the next week, this is now early May, I go over and meet with the trustees, which was him and two ladies, actually. I'm not even really sure how that works, but I recognize trustees, not like an official church office, but whatever. So we met, and I was amazed at the surrender, that the fact that these people did not want their church to die, meaning they're building to be overtaken,
right.
And it was going to be not too long where they're not going to be able to pay taxes or electricity because they're running out of money. So I think their back was against the wall, and when I explained the adoption scenario, which I'm not going to spend a lot of time getting into that, maybe we should have a whole episode on revitalization and the different ways it can be done. But in short, one of the ways that a church can come back to life is that it actually votes to close its corporation officially, and then those members become members of our church. So all 12 of those members are now going to be members at River City Baptist. Their actual 501c3 church closes. That becomes literally River City Baptist Church property, and then River City collectively spends the time, energy, and resources to plant a brand new church on that campus that will initially be a campus, but as soon as it's autonomous, it will then be released as a church that is self-supporting. Right. Yeah. So then their congregational vote was on May 22nd.
And it was unanimous.
You were there.
Yep.
And at that time, we had already decided that you were going to be the guy. And we actually told them that day.
They took it well?
They took it well, yeah. Because my first conversation, that was undecided. I was like, well, I'll just do it for a while, and then when I get the pastor lined up, we'll just let him go. But then it just matriculated so fast, kind of what you're describing. I was surrendered to God, and then boom, this opportunity came. Shortly thereafter, I basically said, "Aaron, I think maybe this is it. Maybe you should take it." And then you and Annie talked and prayed, and
I want to speak about that a little bit. When I first brought it up to Annie as a possibility, her first response out of her mouth was, "Well, I think we should go for it then."
Well, that's good.
And if you're listening to the podcast and you're on the fence, you're maybe thinking you're being called to a pastorate and your wife is not on board, that's a red flag for sure.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, and I think even for those that are listening that aren't married, I mean, you wanna marry that. Those are the kinds of things you're looking for. A woman that loves the Lord and wants to be used of God and wants to support the vision and direction of her husband. And, that's important. I mean, you can't know all that maybe when you're 18, 19, 20 or whatever, but you should have conversations in the dating or engagement phase about, what it means to follow Jesus as a disciple and all where it could lead. And so praise the Lord for, that response. And then you came back to me. I remember the day you said, just like you told me 6 years ago, I'm ready to go on an adventure.
Yeah.
Because at that time, harvest was crazy, and we didn't know if you could even. I think at the beginning I said, "Hey,
might not have a job in a year."
Yeah,
well, let's do this.
I said neither of us may be employed in a year, but if you want to, let's give it a shot. And you called me back and says, "I'm ready for an adventure," and I said, "Great." And then now we're ready for a new adventure. So, praise the Lord. So basically, you are now starting at the end of August, beginning of September, you're starting a Bible study with the remaining members and starting to invite other people from the community to come to this Bible study. It's not a worship service. It's just you meeting people, teaching the Bible, and then we're praying toward launching the Hope Church of Mayport maybe in January, maybe February, something in the beginning of 2023. Right. So you are Pastor Chan now.
Yes, and I started introducing myself as that at the food drive yesterday.
Yeah.
It felt a little weird, but at the same time, the most common response I got to give you guys a backstory, the existing church there actually has already an organization that comes and uses their campus as a hub to distribute food to needy families in that immediate area. There's about 100 to 150 cars that come through there every first and third Wednesday of the month. And this has all been organized by a lady at a Presbyterian church down the street. So we don't do any administrative work for this. It's all the volunteers are supplied mainly through that Presbyterian church and another Christian church, I think, and then a couple from the existing church that's there. But so all I have been doing for the last so yesterday and then the Wednesday before that was meeting people out in the parking lot, introducing myself, handing out my business card, going, "Hey, I'm going to be the new pastor." And probably the number one most common response, they looked at me and they go, "Well, you're really young." And one lady even said, "You look like a teenager." So I hope I look like that in 20 years.
Yeah, you're 30, right?
Yes.
Yeah, you're 30,
yeah.
So you just look like a kid. So I want to point this out about Mayport. It is a really great opportunity. Mayport, for those of you that don't know, Mayport is essentially a military community. Mayport Air Base is there, the Air Force base.
I think it's a Navy base.
A naval base.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, a naval base. Really, literally, like the church is right outside the front doors of Mayport. And then you've got Mayport Elementary, and some of the people, there's an existing relationship there, which we have huge inroads in the public schools here, which is another tactic. And then you've got this food drive. I mean, could be 100 new people eat every other week. And you said last time it was
almost all new faces. I was asking people, "Hey, did we meet last time?" They're just looking at me going, "Who are you?"
Yeah, right. So here's the recap. God literally gave our church a church building.
Yeah.
About 20 minutes from here in the beach community of Mayport. He's given us an opportunity to connect with military veterans and active duty people. He's given us already an inroad to the Mayport Elementary School and already access to 100 new families each.
Yep.
Every
first and third Wednesday.
Yeah, twice a month basically. Mm-hmm. And that's the strategy, to begin to network and to reach people and to go. So we feel really confident about what God's going to do there and excited about it. But I want to encourage our listeners to get behind Aaron. Aaron, you guys all know Aaron from the podcast. Some of you know him personally. And Aaron, let's talk about our goals and needs and a little bit of the way about which we're going to handle this first year. Won't you?
Sure. Yeah. So there's 4 or 5 different specific project needs that we have, and then there's also the monthly financial support angle. So let's talk about the projects first. The first project that we need to do before launch time is to repipe the children's wing. So there's a couple buildings on the campus, and one of them is the predominantly children's classrooms and nursery. It has no running water right now because there was a slab leak somewhere. They had a plumber cap it off, and so they're going to have to run a new pipe from the water meter all the way to the building, which is about 200 feet just in between the meter and the building, and then have to repipe the bathrooms that are in there. So there's about 6 fixtures in each bathroom, 3 or 4 toilets, and 2 sinks in each one. So that's number one. That's going to be, it's a repipe, so it's going to be a significant amount of money, $10, $20, $30,000. I have no idea. We've got a plumber working on that and hoping to give us an estimate. But that's project number one, most significant. We cannot operate a nursery without bathrooms. So
Right.
number 2 project would be the carpet in the main auditorium. The carpet in there, I think, it's definitely older than me. It's probably has not been changed since 1975. It's this bright red old church carpet. You probably know how it looks, if you've been in church in any length of time. But that needs to be replaced. We're going to replace it with some nice looking carpet, probably going to be about $10,000 to $12,000. And then we're going to replace the pews in there. It's got old church pews with some chairs. A good quality church chair nowadays, it costs you $50 to $65 shipped. And so if we put 100 chairs in there, which we were planning to do, it's about $6,000.
Yep.
And then there's a painting project as well, which we believe we may be able to take care of that before too long. We need to paint the children's wing, fresh coat of paint, and then also some painting in the auditorium too. So that's a couple grand. And then the church sign is probably the biggest forward-facing aesthetic modification that we need to make. We need to design a new sign and a new logo and all that. So that's between $2,000 and $3,000 for a brand new church sign out there on the road. And then some other various wayfinding signage throughout the campus. So those are some of the projects that we're looking at.
And sound system.
Sound system, yes. So there's an existing one. It's kind of old, kind of same situation we walked into here at Harvest. It's an old analog board, but the world is digital now, and so we need to have the capability to have presets done, different singers, different instruments, things like that. So sound system with speakers and stuff, microphones, about $3,600 to $4,000 is what we're looking at if we got everything that we wanted. And then, so those are the projects. And then our goal for this first year, at least, is to have at least 10 churches supporting my family at $200 a month.
Yeah. So let me recap. We're talking about $50,000 to $60,000 worth of projects.
Right. Yeah.
And so maybe if you would like to help, that's a huge way to help. If you are a person or a church that has some maybe extra money in your missions account, you want to help out Aaron, you can just contact us. Aaron's email will be in the show notes, and the link to the Mayport homepage that's kind of already up, as well as Aaron's video that explains some of these things in a more condensed version. The links will be there. You can contact me personally if you've got any questions. Obviously, I am 100% supportive of Aaron. He's been a faithful and loyal assistant pastor, and will do a great job there. And the need is great in Jacksonville. I mean, we could
Absolutely.
go on and on about that, particularly there. And God just opened up some unique doors. So about 50, 60 grand in project needs. If there's one that you are particularly interested in, just let us know. Then the monthly support. So we will be working with North American Mission Board for a portion of the salary for Aaron so that he can get going. Also, some of the continual and ongoing proceeds from the church there will offset a little bit of Aaron's salary. River City will be doing a significant investment into Aaron's salary, and then there will be a little bit left over. And that's really all that we're asking for. We're not going to do any deputation. I mean, if you'd really like Aaron to come, maybe we can work out something where he could come and speak to your church, and we certainly could talk about that. But if you know him and love him and you're in a position to do that, we're just asking 10 people or churches, organizations, whoever. We got one business already doing it. Individual has covered a year's worth of certain expenses for you, and others. So if you're an individual or whatever, so the goal is about $2,000 a month. We'll take whatever we can get, and River City will be making up the gap. So
I'd be honored to talk to anybody. Feel free to reach out. You will have regular communication as well if you decide to partner with us here. Just a quick story. The need is so great, as you were mentioning. We were talking to a woman 2 Wednesdays ago that was in the food line. And it just so happened that she lost her job like the day before, I think. She was 68 years old. Her name was Mercy. And she broke down crying, and I asked her, can we pray for anything? And she said, I just lost my job. I'm 68 years old, and I need some prayer. And wait, is she a Christian? I have no idea. But I was able to pray with her and share with her the love of God, and here's some food. So that's the kind of work that you're supporting if you decide to come partner with us.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's going to be a great church. I'm looking forward to it, and our church is going to be given some people and plenty of resources to make it happen, but we'd love to partner with some of you as well. So reach out to us and connect with us, and I'd love to open up more conversation about church revitalization, replanting. I think Aaron, there's an advantage here. I mean, obviously, when you do a replant like this, you have a building. Sometimes you have a handful of people, like in your case, and it's not likely that all of them will stay. We recognize that, but all of them might, and if they do, awesome. And then there's a pool of people maybe that used to go to the church, and then you're talking about maybe some of them kind of swirling back around and getting encouraged again, and maybe before long, you'll have a handful of families. Yeah. And but I want you to know this too. This is technically a church plant. So it's not like that church has got a bunch of resources and ability. They can't pay a pastor. They can't pay anything really. They're leaking, and so that's why we did it the way that we did it. And I think that it'll be a healthy church plant with a good partnership with our churches. And so, man, congratulations, Aaron. Man, I'm really excited for you. And
we're excited.
We're going to miss you on the team here, but at the same time, there's going to be this ongoing partnership and in the same town, and so on and so forth. And I'm really, really thankful for that. But hey, guys, this is a little shorter episode, but I really just wanted to introduce what Aaron's doing, the show notes, and you're going to see some other things up on social media and through the website that'll really encourage you toward that. For those of you that are Idea Network fans, and maybe you're going to be at the Idea Family Summit in January with Pastor Josh Tice. I hope you'll be there in Dallas, Texas. Aaron and I will be there. Aaron is an approved church planting project, and so we'll be raising money right there for the church. And I hope you can come and maybe set aside some resources to help there as well. And of course, I'll be speaking at the Family Summit and one of the general sessions as well. So God bless you guys, man. Have a great day, and be sure to reach out to Aaron. And until next time, more conversation on life, leadership, and ministry. This is the Bryan Sams Podcast.